guys, Van here from rcnightmare.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace or upgrade the rear bearing carriers on a Traxxas / 4x4. So as you can see, I have the truck in front of me here, and I have the components we're going to replace. The parts here are actually RPM parts. So kind of going with the theme on this truck here, we're replacing, we've already done the front bumper, rear bumper, Nerf bars, front A-arms as RPM parts. So next here is the rear carriers. The parts themselves are identical components, so it doesn't matter, there's no left side, right side, so you just pick one, whichever one you want. Okay, so let's get to it here. First thing we need to do is just remove the screw that's holding this tire in place, which I've already done. So off goes the tire, which gives us access to the carrier itself. So I don't know if you can see, there's really only two screws holding this carrier onto the A-arm. One up here for this tie rod, and then another screw down here, screw/pin down here holding the carrier onto the arm. So on the bottom here, I'm just going to remove this screw/pin. Okay, it's a little tough here. This is kind of neat of Traxxas to, it's a pin just like any regular pin, but they've added threads on the end, which is kind of nice. Saves a component. Most parts have a pin and then a set screw, usually holding that pin in place, but I thought that was kind of neat. Okay, so what I'm doing now is removing the tie rod from the top of the carrier here. And so those two screws out. Okay, and then we can just slide the drive train here right off with the carrier. There you have it, off of the truck. I'm going to move this truck aside. As you can see, what I'm doing is I'm doing the replacement on the left side, no, the right side here I mean, but the steps is identical on the other side. So let's continue. You're going to see this hex hub right here. We need to remove that because there's a pin that goes through this axle stub on the bottom. So I'm just going to grab a pair of pliers here. There we go. So that just slides right off, and then like I said, there's a small little pin here which goes through. And the next piece underneath that is a little washer. Okay. So obviously organize these parts so that you don't lose them during this replacement process. And one thing to note is while you're doing this too, it's a great opportunity to be doing some maintenance on your truck. So as you take these apart, if you notice that your bearings are worn or a lot of grime has built up, you know, take the time to clean it up. I'm not going to do that right now, however, just for demonstration, just cut time down here. But it's the perfect time to do it. Okay, so I just slid the stub axle out, and the other bearing is still in here, so I'm just going to use a screwdriver just to slide the bearing out the front there. Okay, so here we have the stock bearing carrier compared to the replacement RPM part. Just observing the parts here just to see what's different. The RPM part is beefier, definitely. There's much more material especially right around the place where the bearings would go, there's more material, so a little bit stronger that way. Okay, so I'm going to set the old part aside and work with the new part now. The bearing that I took off of the front of the carrier, just put it back in the front, just slide it right in. And then the stub axle with the bearing on here just slides in just like that. So the reassembly process here is the reverse of all the steps to take it apart. Oh, sorry, I didn't say what I was doing. What I just did was put the small little washer back, and then I'm putting the pin through here. This pin, like I said, goes into the hex hub at the end here. Okay. And this little hex hub piece is what the wheel gets attached to and what causes it to drive. So okay, that just snapped on right there. So there you have it, the component fitted together. The remaining task now is to actually put this back onto the truck. So this drive shaft here, it's got like a tube and a shaft thing. I don't know what the actual terminology for it, but you just slide the end here directly into the chamber that is attached to the stub axle. It is keyed, so note that on the sides here the channels is a little wider than on the perpendicular sides. So okay, with that in place, just slide the carrier into position and put the pin back in. Okay, this is going to take a little fishing around. So what I'm doing now is reattaching the tie rod to the top of this carrier. Switch drivers, and now I'm putting back the pin slash set screw here. So there you have it. That's the whole process from disassembly to reassembly for replacing the rear hub carriers or bearing carriers on a Traxxas slash 4x4. The last step here is to just attach the wheel and then put the nut back in that holds the wheel in place. Alright, I hope you guys found that somewhat useful. If you like our video, please subscribe to our channel below, and then please also check out our website at rcnightmare.com. Thank you.